okay? Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Council's Cabinet, which will be webcast. Before we start these proceedings, may I bring your attention to some housekeeping matters? There is no expected fire alarm testing today. Therefore, if the fire alarm sounds, please follow the fire and emergency procedures and leave via the nearest fire exit. Please can I ask that you use your microphone when addressing the meeting and that it is switched off when you're not using it. And please ensure that your mobile devices are turned to silent. And as part of the welcome, I would also like to welcome Cy Bellamy, who is our new Chief Operating Officer, and this is your first Cabinet meeting, isn't it? So very warm welcome and welcome to Plymouth. So item 1 is apologies. Do we have any apologies, Jamie?
Thank you, Chair. We've got apologies from the leader today.
Thank you. And item 2 is declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest in respect of the items on the agenda? No. Thank you. So I move to item 3 on the agenda, minutes of the previous meeting. I propose that the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of September 2025 to be signed as a correct record. Are we all agreed? Yep. So now I move to item 4, questions from the public. There are 2 questions from the public. Are either of the questioners in attendance?
Thank you, Chair. Neither of the questioners are in attendance today.
Okay, in which case we will send them the responses in the usual way. And we publish them. Lovely. Thank you. So then item 5 is Chair's urgent business. I don't have any urgent business. No. Thank you. So I move to item 6, which is the city brand strategy. I'm going to introduce this report, but I am also going to welcome David Draffen, Service Director for Economic Development, Amanda Lumley, CEO of Destination Plymouth, Paul Fields-Danks from Arts University Plymouth, and Adrian Bratt, who are also from Princess Yachts, who are going to join us. So while you do that, I will start my introduction. Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little bit croaky today. So, the presence of Professor Fields-Danks and Adrian Bratt is really indicative of the cross-party nature and cross-city nature of this branding work. The Cabinet report before you today recommends that as a City Council, we adopt the city brand strategy, which has been created in partnership with organisations and communities across the city over the past 2 years. As we know, Plymouth is on the cusp of intergenerational change, with a £4.4 billion investment into the dockyard, Homes England supporting the creation of up to 10,000 homes in a decade, and this week, the announcement of the new towns funding to put the heart of our community back into our city centre. Over the next 10 years, we will need to attract up to 25,000 people into the city to fill the jobs which are being created. And to do so, we must position Plymouth as an attractive place for people to live, to work, to study, to visit, and to invest. Recent international research by Bloom Consulting on the perception of place and destinations showed that perception affects 86% of people's willingness to live, work, invest, or visit in a destination or place. And the same report showed that if a city improves perceptions by 1 decimal point, that would equal a 15% increase in receipts from tourism, 21% of talent attraction, and 17.5% foreign direct investment. So it's clear that perception is crucial to the growth of cities internationally, and Plymouth is no different. So nearly 2 years ago, the senior leadership team here in the city recognised that change was needed. Destination Plymouth was commissioned to explore how we could position the city not just as the vibrant cultural visitor destination in the southwest, but somewhere that people would want to stay, to live and to work. So an external perception research study commissioned by Destination Plymouth found that at best, many people didn't really know much about our brilliant city, but any firm perceptions were rooted in the city of over 20 years ago, not the thriving, bustling, growing place it is today. The research also highlighted some key strengths and points of difference that our city has, which differentiates us from our competitors. These strengths have been developed and crafted into a series of strong narratives for our city, which we can use not just to tell the world what a great place Plymouth is, but to share with our local community to help engender pride and raise aspiration. The report suggested 10 key opportunities that we can move forwards as a city to reposition our brand and grow our reputation nationally and internationally. And this formed the basis of the second piece of work, to develop a new narrative for the city that reflects the contemporary place we are today. I think there's some really impressive stats around the engagement and consultation work that went on around this branding process. There have been over 2,000 hours of meetings with local communities, partners and organisations. Over 250 responses from a public open session in Drake Circus, 100 survey responses from all over the UK, and 100 conversations with local people in the street and through workshops. The overall experience throughout this process has been heartwarming and positive, and when work was shared publicly from the end of July onwards, there's been a huge amount of positive response, locally, nationally, and internationally. In the first week it was shared, the film had over 119,000 views on Facebook and over 3,200 on LinkedIn to date, with predominantly positive feedback from all corners of the globe. And I would now like to show the film. Oh.
Where the endless horizon meets the rugged moors.
Where city streets meet crashing waves.
Life feels bigger in Plymouth.
New adventures have always started here, and it's time again.
From marine science and autonomy, healthcare, creative innovation, manufacturing and defence, we're charting the nation's future.
We are the city with the warmth of a tight community.
Where creativity knows no bounds.
Where we go beyond.
Because we go together.
This is Plymouth's promise to you.
Life here will be an adventure.
Make life an adventure.
Thank you. I just don't get bored of seeing that. Yes, let's have a round of applause. And I've shown it to so many people, both from the city who've left Plymouth, who are like, yeah, that's what I think about Plymouth. People who live in Plymouth, it makes them feel really proud, and people who don't know Plymouth that I've shown it to are like, I had no idea that Plymouth was like that. So I think that film has done the job on all fronts. But so now I'm going to hand over to Professor Paul Fields and Danks, Vice Chancellor of Arts University Plymouth, who's going to share with you more details of our new city brand narratives and the creative process. Thank you, Paul, for being here. Over to you.
Thank you. First of all, just to clarify, I've been the chair of the brand development group since that period that Jemima referred to, and it has been endlessly surprising, shall we say, but glad we got a cheer for the film. So thank you to Councillor Lang and to everybody at Plymouth City Council for your support for Destination Plymouth and for facilitating UK Shared Prosperity funding for this process. I would also like to thank our funding partners, Princess Yachts, Babcock, the University of Plymouth and the Box. So my job really is just to talk a little bit about the brand and its kind of narrative. So successful city branding is about telling a compelling story, sharing the stories of our city in a way that is authentic, based on truth and reflecting our city personality. Plymouth is experiencing an exciting period of change and growth, and everybody in our city has a role to play in shaping its future. Our communication about Plymouth needs to reflect this evolution. Over the past 18 months, we've actively listened to and discussed with local communities, partners and businesses to understand what truly matters to the people here and what makes our city such an amazing place to live, work and visit. This engagement has helped us identify 3 core values that underpin our actions and capture the unique personality that makes Plymouth the truly outstanding place it is. So we will go boldly. Plymouth has never been one to follow the flock, and we dare to do things differently, and we dare to do it first. We go together. The legacy of the naval city lives on. We lift each other up, and we work as one crew. Go far. The impact of our work reaches across the globe. We realise ambition for what we can achieve. And we've listened to our communities to capture the city and its personality, and we believe we are friendly. We've always been known as a friendly city. We reach out, we make conversations, and always bring people on board. We are adventurous. Fueled by half a millennium of remarkable voyages, we remain ever curious. We ask questions, we take risks, and take the path that others have not. We are confident. To convince people to choose Plymouth, we must first be proud of our city. With self-belief, we show the world what our city has to offer. So we needed a positive story and sentiments that would override any negative perceptions of our city. Our messaging needed to reflect this and provide a more contemporary narrative which the city could use to ripple outwards and create a positive shift. We are an innovative city. We have huge opportunities for growth. We're a lifestyle location. Creativity is all around us. We have an empowering community. So we worked with a world-class creative team at DNCO, key stakeholders and other local community groups to create new narratives for the city to reflect the strengths and opportunities highlighted. Set within the overarching strapline of Make Life an Adventure, 6 key narratives truly set our city apart, highlighting our specific points of differentiation and our great strengths. And these are: over 500 years of innovation, Plymouth is the national centre for marine autonomy. From Charles Darwin to Dame Ellen MacArthur, remarkable journeys start here. The horizons are bigger here. We anticipate 25,000 employment opportunities over the next 10 years. A city wild about nature. We're the only UK city to be between a national marine park and a national park. Plymouth creativity has no bounds. Over 9,000 people worked in creative jobs in 2023. A community that goes beyond. Nearly 1/3 of our city are active volunteers. We're charting an exciting future, a multi-billion-pound regeneration and investment pipeline. So alongside these compelling new narratives telling the story of our city, we have worked together to create a fresh new visual approach shaped by our place. We've harnessed the city's geography, referencing water lines and topography, with a colour palette drawn from our city and its environs. The new visuals have been created to represent the spirit of this place, its energy, optimism, and phenomenon as Britain's ocean city. Our new brand homepage reflects all the different aspects of the new narratives and visual approach, along with details of how it can be used, along with a brand new media hub and image library that's accessible to all. It's designed for everyone to access with key proof points, information, great images, and a toolkit for all to use. We encourage you all to use the new narratives wherever possible, and only by amplifying the positives will they ripple outwards across the networks and local communities. Thank you very much. I'll now hand over to Adrian Bratt.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you, councillors. For those of you who are involved with the Mayflower celebrations a few years ago, there was something that the US ambassador said that always sticks in my mind, was that he came down here and he said the problem the US has is that we think 100 years is a long time. And the problem the UK has, they think 100 miles is a long way. And very often when you're trying to recruit people into the city, they arrive and they're like, gosh, that was a long journey. But as soon as they get here, they get it. As soon as you get them into the factory and around the city, they understand and they're like, this is fantastic. But then they've got a job to do themselves, which is going on to sell the city to their families and trying to get that relocation piece inserted into the mindset. And it's such a challenge that I've just taken on some new recruiters, some national recruiters based in London. And pretty much along with the commercial terms, the basis for them me taking them on is that my account director went to school in Tavistock and his boss, his in-laws live in Plymouth. So already the sell is happening, and I recently forwarded over the toolkits we've just created to them, and it's doing half their job for them in terms of what they need to do to sell to the candidates before they actually pitch the job to them. Because the thing is, for a candidate, the job is what they're after. The location isn't so much of the challenge because the job is what the job is. But when you come to relocate, there's so many barriers in place in the place of relocation, mainly cost nowadays, but the uncertainty and the challenges that go with that when you've got another half and a family and even a dog to bring along the journey. The risk can be sometimes, oh, actually, it's too risky. If it doesn't work, what happens? So by creating a brand campaign and a toolkit and an offering and a product that details lifestyle, culture, diversity, and everything that we already know that is here in Plymouth, allows us to sell the product and the place before the people have arrived, and you're already halfway on the journey. So it's not a case of they get here and then they get it. They've got a smell of it and a sense of it before they arrive. And external perceptions are poor. And I'll be very careful saying in this room, but I still have, when I'm talking to candidates, confusion whether we're talking about Portsmouth or Plymouth. And it still happens to this day regularly. And what we're trying to do is, rather than get frustrated about that, proactively tackle it. And that was why, when I was approached, and Princess Yachts were approached as a company to be involved in Destination Plymouth, which was then a tourism management destination company, we were like, we're happy to, but actually we want to make Plymouth about not just visiting Plymouth, about living here, working here and loving it. And this culmination of this branding exercise is, we're really proud of what we've achieved, and actually the timing couldn't be more opportune with what's happening with Team Plymouth. So it's getting people to relocate here, getting people to stay here, and getting people to want their kids to be here. And as an employer, it's going to make my life significantly more easy, attracting talent down here, but also getting talent to want to stay here. And part of the getting the talent to want to stay here is understanding that the opportunities are elsewhere, not just in us. So I get the job at Princess, and where do I go next? And that's all part of the story that we all need to collectively address. And we feel we're significantly on the way with what we've done here.
Thank you. Amanda, David, did you want to add anything?
Excuse me. Sorry, thank you, David. I've got too much kit here. I just want to say thank you to Adrian and Paul for championing this, and also to yourself, Jemima. I think we are on the cusp of a huge change, and it makes me really proud, particularly when I was in some of the community group work, because we are no different to any other city in that, we have our own challenges, but we have an amazing community here in the city. They've got so much to offer, and the process has been a really positive one throughout. So thank you for tasking us with leading it. I guess the hard work does start now, because we now need to help embed some of these key narratives, and we need everybody to help us to do that. We need everybody to act as advocates and ambassadors to help show our community that actually there's some really great stuff happening here, so they can feel proud too. So thank you for enabling me to go through this process. I'm really proud of what's been achieved, and I thank, as I said, my board, particularly Paul and Adrian, for giving me lots of support along with our funding partners. Thank you.
So can I say some thank yous, possibly? So I think we should absolutely recognise the work of Destination Plymouth as our partnership, and particularly Amanda. I think Amanda's leadership of this has been extraordinary. And Destination Plymouth was set up in 2012 to do a lot of things. And when Mayflower happened and the leadership of Mayflower was in Destination Plymouth, we laid that challenge down to Destination Plymouth, and I don't think it could have responded in a better way. So that's the first point. The second point, having done a lot of this sort of activity over the years, the engagement was exceptional. So you know, a lot of things can be criticised and attacked, and the context of negativity in, you know, cities around the country is there, but the fact that this has embedded in serious and long-term engagement you mentioned, I think differentiates you. You can criticise it, but it's from Plymouth, of Plymouth, and for Plymouth, and that's pretty special. I would also point out the brilliance of the consultants that were, you know, we haven't just brought in, you know, these are some of the world's best consultants, and some of the things they have done are the best destinations in the world. So, you know, this is, you know, if you need any assurance about the quality of the people we've been working with, you know, you can look at where they have worked before. And the other issues, we've got immediate opportunity to use this, and you've heard some of them. So this is ready now to talk about housing opportunities, jobs, our contractors, and our inward investment. And it's already, as you've seen in recent days and weeks, been used. And my final reflection is that for things to be successful, they have to be authentic. And for them to be authentic, the test is, could this happen anywhere else? And I think this brand could only be in Plymouth, of Plymouth. And I think that's a huge credit to Amanda and the team who've led that. So, you know, I think if you want an example in partnerships doing great pieces of work for a city, this is probably a class example of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've still my best about authenticity, but I do think that is what is absolutely at the heart of it. And I think the strapline that really gets me is the we go together. That's really how this whole process has been done. Incredibly large group of people working together in such a positive way and for such a positive outcome. So my huge thanks for that as well. And we're already starting to see it being used, and I think we'll all start seeing more and more of it. And I think it's great. I think it works. I think it's Plymouth. So yeah. So I'm going to ask Cabinet to look at the Oh, apologies, Councillor Larry.
Thank you, Jemima. I wanted to reflect on a visit I had to Princess Yachts with David and Adrian a couple of months ago, and Adrian very kindly showed me around their facilities and was chatting away as you would do. And he made a comment that he might not have remembered, but he said something to the effect that internationally Plymouth's perceptions are incredibly high. I just wish we could bring some of that home. And this is what we're obviously trying to achieve here today. And you'll know the building opposite this room today is the Civic. And we're currently doing some preparation works for removing the asbestos and the partitioning and the electrics and so on and so forth. But the hoardings that you've seen recently erected around there will be the first to showcase this new media narrative that we're trying to explain to people. So yes, it will get to be shown in the next couple of weeks, I hope. You know, we're just finalising some commercial arrangements, but I hope in the next 2 weeks you'll see the new hoardings being covered in this media narrative. So it's really exciting. You've done a fantastic job, and thank you to everybody who's been involved.
Thank you. So if we turn to the recommendations on page 12, Cabinet... Oh, apologies, Councillor Dan. So I haven't got a vice chair, see?
I think it's fab. So following on from what you were just saying, Adrian, a little bit from you, Amanda. So anything that we present in the council, cynically, people will think, oh, it's the council again. And I'm not saying Destination Plymouth is the council, but we do suffer with that. So my question is, how can we use this now so that other people across the city use it and become positive ambassadors and advocates for the city? so we can really share the brilliance of what we're doing as a city and where we're going. It was really interesting when you were talking about recruitment, because I've got HR as a portfolio, and I know that within our recruitment and retention, it's going to be so much easier to be able to sell what it's like to come to Plymouth. We all know how wonderful it is. So my question is then, how are we going to use businesses, partners, stakeholders across the city to amplify the message?
Yeah, maybe I'll have a go at that one. I think if I just go back a stage, the tender, of course, invited applications from both local businesses for this work and global companies. And that was a delicate line to tread in terms of who would you like to privilege in the conversation. But of course, one of the key parts of this was that we already know, as you just said, all the good things about us. So that comes with a limited playbook. And what we actually needed was an international platform. So DNCO, if you don't know about them, have just rebranded the London Overground trains. They've branded San Francisco. We're in very good company in terms of looking a little bit beyond the four walls of Plymouth, because the agenda for us is beyond the four walls of Plymouth in some ways, about making the world understand what we do and bringing investment in and jobs and all the rest of it. So there was that delicate balance, but what they brought was a sense of non-ownership by anybody, and that was really important. So you mentioned, if people perceive this as the council's thing, it's not. And I think it's been designed entirely with the opposite in mind. The toolkit, which has been flashing away on the screen in front of you, is a very, very user interface, which means if you're a company or a business of one, you could trade using assets successfully, porting the brand of Plymouth into your business. Equally, at a scale like Princess or, dare I say, Babcock, you can do the same. So it should be a great leveler. I think the approach, though, was to get sort of wide stakeholder buy-in, so that a bit like a high tide will raise all the ships that way. But it has to be done through advocacy, and I think I think Amanda alluded to the fact we're just about to start the process, landed the project. We will now look for some sort of, if you like, anchor tenants of the brand through the city, and that needs to represent all size and scale. That's the way I think we'll do it.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. Through the process, one of the things that we've been really keen to impress on everybody is that this is yours. It's not ours. This is yours. It's everybody's. And you'll see that the way the toolkit is set up, it's open access, so people can go in. We've set up a fantastic new media hub. If you get a chance, have a look at it. It's got fantastic images of the city that people can download for free, and they're good images, they're iconic images, or they're images of our communities doing things. And as that matures, we encourage people to share their great images with us. And there's almost a community project there waiting to happen, to be honest, to say, okay, what amazing things are you doing and what can we share? So we've done that all the way along. And I think that's why when we finally sort of went live publicly with some of those assets, there was a lot of positive sharing, a lot of take-up, and we haven't done the initial data sets yet, because we're only just over a month in, but we will be doing some analytics looking at numbers of downloads and shares and who's been onto the image hub, because it's only through using it that it's successful. And there are more structural things. So I've had conversations with Chris, I've had conversations with Amanda in the education team, and what I've said is, how can we take some of these positive and unique strengths that we have as a city, and how can we use them, for example, in our schools with our young people? And interestingly, UTC College has already reached out on the back of one of the presentations and said, we love that, what can we do, how can we use that and share that, because these are facts, and actually we've got a whole list of proof points on the brand toolkit, which has things like, for example, did you know we planted 50,000 trees over the last 5 years? So many people don't know that. That's amazing statistics. So the hard work starts now. So if you have networks, if we can ask you to consider how you might advocate and who else might advocate, because this will grow and it will take time. It's like anything else. It's a shift. So it won't happen overnight, but we're absolutely thrilled with the initial feedback that we've had.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there's a role for us as Cabinet and all councillors to share this and advocate for it, because I don't think there needs to be any reticence or hesitation, because it is absolutely rooted in Plymouth. There's nothing phony about it. It's properly authentic. And so I think we can all be confident in sharing it ourselves. Okay, so for the third time, I'm going to try, no other questions? No. Okay, so the recommendations on page 12 ask Cabinet to agree to support the citywide brand strategy and new narratives to position Plymouth as a place to live, work, study and visit, adopt key components of the city branding work, including narratives and visuals, and mainstreams them into key delivery programmes, including Team Plymouth, Homes England Housing Development, recruitment initiatives, and the Plymouth Plan where consistent, positive city messaging is required. Mandate Destination Plymouth to a broader remit as a citywide place marketing organisation with strategic responsibility for leading the brand strategy and implementation, positioning the city's place brand going forwards, as well as continuing to drive the visitor plan. Finally, recognise the support, recognise the support of key city partners in funding and driving this work forwards, for which we are really very, very grateful. Agreed? Lovely, thank you. I think that's a really important moment. And thank you very much, Adrian and Paul, for joining us. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, David. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to item 7, which is Connect to Work and Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay Working Plan. Councillor Creswell, I am going to hand over to you to introduce the report, and you're going to be joined by David Haley, Director of Children's Services, Tina Brinkworth, Head of Skills and Post 16, and Toby Hall, Funding and Partnership Manager. So over to you, Councillor Creswell.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lang. I have to say, I am absolutely delighted, more than delighted, to be here today to present to Cabinet our item, which consists both of Connect to Work and the Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay Working Plan. This is really, really good news. This item comes following the Department for Work and Pensions, the DWP, publishing their Get Britain Working White Paper, which set out their mission to build an inclusive and thriving labour market for everyone. Local areas were asked to develop plans covering labour market issues related to participation, progression, earnings and job quality. The Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay Working Plan has come as a result of this. It's been co-designed between Devon County Council, Plymouth City Council and Torbay Councils, alongside numerous partners from the voluntary, community, social enterprise sector, education and skills providers, employers and business representatives, and the local integrated care board and job centre plus. This work of co-production and working together is now a really strong feature and a golden thread that goes through so much of what we're actually doing in the city. It presents a unified approach to responding to long-standing challenges in areas such as economic inactivity, youth unemployment, whilst also acknowledging the emerging opportunities presented through the defence investment and work of Team Plymouth. We've got a really joined up approach happening here. Kickstarting delivery of these plans, the government announced Connect to Work. This is a new supported employment programme which will help disabled people, people with health conditions, those with perhaps some more complex barriers to finding a suitable job and also to sustaining work. It will also help those in work but at risk of falling out of the labour market to actually retain their employment. This is a truly transformational opportunity for Plymouth. Our delivery will help to break down barriers that prevent many of our residents from accessing meaningful employment. We are creating a new in-house delivery team for Connect to Work in Plymouth. And a key part, and this is really important, a really key part of our recruitment strategy is to actively seek individuals who have lived experience of the barriers we aim to address, whether that be disability, long-term health conditions, or other barriers to employment, for example, those young people with care experience. By embedding lived experience into the heart of our delivery model, we will ensure our approach is empathetic, informed, and genuinely responsive to the needs of our participants. We are committed to ensuring we not only help individuals into work, but also build a much more inclusive and resilient workforce for our city and also for our local employers. We're really looking forward to working with our first participants from this November. And I'll now hand over, I think, probably to Toby, Toby Hall, because I think Tina will come in, but has a bit of a sore throat, has lost her voice. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So, we just wanted to firstly reiterate the recommendations that are coming as part of this decision. So, as Sally said, ultimately we want to accept the Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay working plan and that overarching delivery, Connect to Work being a part of that, and obviously delegate the authority to the Director for Children's Services for approving that and future contracts, and also to approve our proposals as Sally laid out around delivering Connect to Work in Plymouth, and obviously the significant funding that will bring into the city, and again delegate authority to the Director for Children's Services for signing that contract. I think we just want to start by saying, the developing the Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay working plan has been a really close partnership, and it has provided really all the hooks and anchors that we need as Plymouth for bringing future investment into the city. This plan provided a great opportunity to bring together a wide range of partners. Health partners, Sally listed many that were included in that, and this range really, will continue to oversee delivery of these programs. So Connect to Work as our first delivery element under the new Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay working plan will be overseen ongoing by that range of partners. And we're really excited about the potential of delivering Connect to Work in-house in Plymouth. We've recruited a really diverse range of people into the city. So, they reflect the challenges of living with disabilities, mental health, neurodiversity, as well as many other barriers to work. And all of these individuals will bring that lived experience to the roles. We've also got approximately 10% of all roles as apprenticeships. So we're really excited for that offer and how we can support those individuals both through their apprenticeship and then onto a job within the team at the end of that. We're looking to co-locate our delivery from our new city centre location, which is in Coburg House. And this will bring together under one roof a range of teams. So we've got Skills Launchpad Plymouth, Careers Plymouth and On Course Southwest alongside this brand new team. And this co-location will obviously enable really effective cross referrals between services, not only improving the experience of participants, but also providing a new opportunity to align across teams. And partnership working has been at the core of Connect to Work delivery. So we've already engaged with a wide range of colleagues, both across the council and across many external organisations. And we've understood how we can work together, ensuring strong referrals and signposting routes. So within the council, we've spoken with many teams from public health and SEND to housing and community connections, and externally a huge range of organisations, including, of course, two key organisations in Live Well and Shekinah, who are both already delivering NHS and Public Health England funded IPS programmes. So our provision will work with entirely different cohorts to them, but obviously through regular engagement, we can understand how we can develop really strong cross-referral routes with them. And ultimately, we're really excited to begin delivering Connect to Work in Plymouth and for that provision to grow over the next 5 years. And we'll welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toby. Do I have any questions? Councillor Stevens.
Thank you. Thank you all for the paperwork and the passion behind this as well. And obviously the government for making it possible. Can I ask about the engagement? How early do you start organising the identification of young people who would need this type of pathway into work? And secondly, what about the engagement of the families of some of those young people? Some of them might have disengagement with school, maybe it's not as good as it could be. Some of them might have attendance issues. So how would you actually bring the families of parents or carers on board as well to help make this happen as a fresh start, if you like? Thank you.
So I'll take the first question first around young people and how we engage them. I think what's really important, and the reason we've opted for an in-house delivery, is actually we've been delivering this service for many years under Skills Launchpad. And we've supported 3,000 people in the city already into employment, and supported 60,000 people, unique people, online through employment services. So this isn't new for us, so we've laid really good foundations. So we're already connected across partner organisations. So we have reached back into colleges and schools for the young people they're worried about. We have reached back into parent carer forums and PIAS, and we see many referrals come through the system. And what we've done is we've worked really hard across all of our services within PCC and wider to really drive connections. And what we're looking to do for our caseworkers is part of their work will be co-located at Coburg House, but actually they'll be integrated into community or into those community groups or into those community settings. So it's really important that they're embedded into the communities where we have the reach. And that's not just for the young people, but actually for the families as well who need that wider support. And I think what's really interesting around this programme is you can hold your customers, clients, participants for a long time. And it's not the end goal is employment, but actually we know there's many barriers before we get to employment, and that could be financial support through benefit claims, it could be housing claims, you know, it could be like drug misuse. And it's how we work across all of those services to really connect it in a way that ultimately we can support those young people or adults into paid employment.
Thank you. Any other questions? I think this is really exciting. I think it's fair to say that we've got, you know, we're kind of ahead of the game in Plymouth, aren't we? And we've got a lot of the infrastructure in place. And I just think we've talked in the last item about aspiration, and we know that there are so many barriers, and this is really designed to just try to overcome as many barriers as possible. So everybody, and particularly young people, can achieve their potential in the city and have, you know, good, fulfilling futures. So this is very, very exciting. Sally, I don't know if you want to round off, and then we'll go to the recommendations.
Just going to round off with a couple of things, and I think you've said one of those really well there, Jemima, about we're ahead of the game. You know, we know that in terms of just one example I picked out, our supported internships or whatever. I think also this partnership working, in which we've seen a lot of that happening. We've got a paper in a moment that we're going to be looking at, which is about SEND, and our partnership working that's there has been a real strength. This lived experience of actually having a workforce who have, you know, many of those people having these actual experiences. And the other thing that warms my heart so much is when we talk about apprenticeships, 10% of those people actually being apprentices. And this whole thing about co-location in Coburg House. So everyone is able to actually talk to each other, and you're in a position where people can easily be directed within that building, and that co-location is really important. Whereas, but at the same time, have those links and that knowledge of community groups and settings as well. So I won't carry on anymore because I could wax lyrical about it, but this is a fantastic opportunity. I'm really grateful to the team, and it's going to be another exciting stage as far as Plymouth is concerned.
Yeah, thank you. So the recommendations are on pages 41 and 42. Number 1, approve and accept the Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay Working Plan 2025 to 2027, to delegate the authority to sign future pilot contracts and agreements associated with the Get Devon, Plymouth and Torbay Working Plan, such as the Youth Guarantee, to the Director for Children's Services where they do not already have the authority to do so. Number 3 is approve the proposal for the Council to deliver the new DWP Connect to Work programme to support approximately 2,100 Plymouth residents, total value of approximately 6.8 million over 5 years. And number 4, to delegate the authority to sign Connect to Work contracts and agreements to the Director for Children's Services where they do not already have the authority to do so. Are we all agreed? Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing how this work progresses and the important impact that it will have. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tina. Thank you, Toby. So now I'm going to move on to item 8, which is the Plymouth Send Improvement Update. But before I do that, I've got something that I would like to read. It's with deep sadness that we share the news of the passing of our dear colleague and friend, Hannah McGuigan, who sadly passed away a few days ago. For many of us, Hannah was more than just a colleague. She was a bright, determined, and talented team player who left a lasting impression on everybody fortunate enough to work alongside her. Her unwavering commitment to children and families and her dedication to Plymouth City Council were truly inspiring. We know that Hannah was well known and deeply respected across the organisation, and our thoughts remain with her husband, her children, and extended family during this incredibly difficult time. Hannah's kindness, compassion, and selflessness touched so many lives. She brought warmth and positivity to everything she did, always putting others first, and her legacy will continue to inspire all of us. We will come together in the coming weeks to honour Hannah in a way that reflects her incredible contribution to our community. Her family have asked us to share with all staff who knew Hannah and wish to pay their respects to attend her funeral service on Friday, 24th of October at 10 a.m, St Mary's Church in Plympton. And in keeping with Hannah's vibrant spirit, her family has requested that attendees wear colourful clothing rather than black. They wish for this to be a celebration of her life, a beautiful reflection of the bright and warm person that she was. Okay, thank you. So we are now going to look at the Plymouth Send Improvement Update. Councillor Creswell, you're going to introduce this report, supported by David Haley, Director of Children's Services. So over to you, Councillor Creswell.
Thank you, Councillor Lang, and just if I could just say very briefly, thank you. I won't say too much, but thank you, in fact, to Hannah, who has been one of those key people on our journey with our Send improvement, and my deepest feelings and gratefulness and gratitude to Hannah. Right, so the purpose of this paper. So this report provides a detailed overview of the progress that's being made by the Plymouth Send Local Area Partnership since the Ofsted inspection in June 2023, which identified significant and systemic failings requiring an urgent improvement. It outlines the strategic response, governance arrangements, and operational developments that have been implemented to address these concerns and prepare for the forthcoming monitoring inspection. So if I illustrate some of the key highlights, they include strengthened governance, the establishment of an independently chaired Send Improvement Board alongside strategic and operational groups ensures we've got robust oversight and accountability across the partnership. Inspection readiness, fortnightly workshops, updated self-evaluation frameworks, and a comprehensive evidence bank have been developed to demonstrate the actual impact and the progress being made. Co-production, that word again, co-production, and youth voice, engagement with families and young people through PPCV, Youth Ascends, and Young Safeguarders has shaped service design, including the creation of an inclusive resources such as the Equal, Kind and Self film. And I think we can say in terms of some of our key meetings that we've had, we have certainly had the voice of our young people, and they have certainly asked some very searching and some very pertinent questions, which have actually made us really think and I think improve our practice. So thank you very much to them. National recognition, of course, national recognition. Plymouth's innovative work in co-production and inclusive education has received national acclaim, with shortlisted nominations for the NASN Send Awards and increased visibility through DFE and sector partnership. And I've got just a couple of those awards in front of me here, which I will share and talk about a bit later on. The graduated approach and inclusion. expansion of targeted support, which has included internal provision and outreach from our special schools, has improved the outcome from over 300 pupils without educational healthcare plans. The Vulnerable Pupils Panel has also strengthened early intervention, and I'd like to say a little bit of shout out to some of the heads of our special schools who have been doing some fantastic work to support our young people, children, and our other school leaders and such in our mainstream schools. EHCP, Educational Healthcare Plans, timeliness and quality assurance. There has been a substantial improvement in EHCP processing. They have reduced backlogs, increased compliance with statutory timelines. Quality assurance processes are embedded and supported by new digital tools and standard operating procedures. Our family engagement and communications. The Send Duty system has transformed responsiveness with 98% of calls answered with positive feedbacks from families. The introduction of themed partnership sessions further enhances transparency and collaboration. And I think you can never underestimate how important that improved communication has been. And I have to take my hat off to all those people in the team. And you can see that in terms of the fact that we are, as counsellors and such, having fewer parents, carers coming through. And when they do come through to us or go directly through, there is a response or almost immediately. And very often, even if you can't answer the problem straight away or solve the problem, the fact that you have listened and responded is so important. And I can't stress enough how important communication has been. Support while waiting. A multi-agency waiting well offer has been developed to provide interim support across health education and social care. And again, co-designed resources and helplines now being available. And preparation for adulthood, working with our other colleagues in adult services as well. The city now supports over 100 supported internships. I think I might have mentioned that before, with 100% of participants progressing into employment or training. The new transitions protocol and digital resource hub have been launched to improve planning and outcomes. So this report really evidences a very clear trajectory of improvement. It's validated by external partners, including for the Department for Education, and it sets out the next steps to sustain progress and ensure readiness for inspection, because we are really aspirational for our young people, for all of our young people, our SEND young people. And yes, we have come along a journey and a pathway, and if you look behind, you can see how far we have come. But we are still very much looking forward to improve even further, better and beyond, because we want the best for every single one of our young people. And I will pass over to both Lisa MacDonald and also to Amanda Davis, but I don't know if Lisa might give a little bit more about some of the flavours of the stock take or whatever when you actually give your intro as well. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jemima. And I hand over to Lisa and Amanda.
Thank you. So Amanda Davis, Service Director for Education, Participation and Skills. Thank you, Sally, for that introduction. I don't think you can say too often it takes a village to raise a child. It is a well-used phrase, but one that absolutely adds value. And for some children, they need the village more than others. And this is certainly a village piece. So whilst we welcome Ofsted CQC in the next few weeks, although we didn't get the call today, we didn't expect it today because of half term, but every Monday we await that call. That is an important milestone for us, but as Sally said, we're thinking way ahead of that. That's just one test of our improvement. Actually, the real test is in the experiences of our children and young people. So as Sally said, we have had visits from the DFE, including a recent stock take, which talked us through our areas of strength, and they felt, so Brian, who leads that stock take, felt very assured that we have made much improvement against the priority areas for action. So, and with some nuanced feedback for us, which we'll continue to take forward. But also we attended on Thursday a peer review regionally. And we really felt proud to be Plymouth on that day. The confidence in which we could present this improvement journey was felt in the room. So, and we've had lots of calls, haven't we, since for help with other people going through a similar journey. So, anything you want to add, Lisa?
No, happy to take questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. So, Cabinet, do you have any questions? Yes. Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, so really great report. But in the report, can you just maybe explain a little bit more about what steps are being taken to ensure that mainstream setting is adequate and prepared and resourced for increased inclusion? And I say that from many years ago, having a child that obviously had to go into mainstream school and had some difficulties, and it's really difficult. It's difficult for the child, but it's also very difficult for the parent. So I'd just like to see how we've increased with that, please.
Thank you. And I went on a similar journey with my own child, not in Plymouth, but I know exactly what you're speaking. But I'm going to hand over to Lisa because the team have done so much work.
Absolutely. So this has been a really big piece of work around what we knew as the graduated approach in Plymouth. So what we have now is the graduated approach platform. It was about really outlining what was universal, what was targeted, and what does specialist mean. And so it was really important for me to really not only focus on the upskilling of teachers and the support staff within that space, within that universal offer. And within that, we developed what we call an ordinarily available provision, which is something that is nationally available, but each local authority writes their own. And we wrote that in collaboration with school leaders, with the DFE RISE partnership who came in to support us, and also with young people and families. So we talked through what was missing in their experiences and how could that be provided as a normal and an ordinarily available offer. So that was the first stage. And then the second stage for me and for the team was to think about, so what does it look like when it's a bit more and we have a targeted offer? Because what was happening in Plymouth before was that jump straight to a specialist school when actually young people can thrive. The majority of our young people can thrive within a mainstream setting. So what we've done over the last year is we've introduced extended special school outreach. So what Sally mentioned around our specialist teachers going into our mainstream settings, that not only focusing on individual children and young people, but looking at wider groups. So looking at small groups of children, young people, looking at the whole school approach to inclusion. We've also expanded what we call targeted funding, and this is something that's really quite innovative in terms of what local authorities are offering. There are only a few local authorities that have stepped into the space. So what we've currently got now and went live in September are 30 schools on a targeted funding 3 pathway. So they're providing alternative provision pathways for children and young people without an education, health and care plan. And then we have a further 28 schools who are doing the same, but for small groups of targeted intervention for those who may need some literacy or numeracy interventions or some therapeutic support. And those things are now helping us to really provide a really strong and robust targeted offer, so that we've then got the EHCPs as the next stage and that more specialist offer there. And we also introduced a higher banding for the education, health and care plans. So if you're in mainstream, but you've got that higher level of need, but you absolutely thrive and want to be in mainstream and families are, are supporting that, there is that extra top-up funding level now, so that can be applied to a mainstream setting before we jump to specialists. So huge amount going on. We had 5 pilot schools for the targeted level and all showing fantastic outcomes for those children who are now in school full-time with reduced with really great engagement, reduced what schools refer to as sort of behaviour points, if you like, so that they're showing that they're enjoying their time at school, they want to be in school. And we've got some family testimonials that are really quite touching, actually, talking about the impact this is having. And we've got, and over the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be doing, apart from half term, the visits to the 30 schools that went live in September. So by the end of this year, we'll have really strong evidence of the impact of those things as well.
Yes.
Can I just come back? That's absolutely fantastic work. You've moved on so far from even a couple of years ago, from taking my autistic grandson to school, and when he didn't get the sticker that he was promised, because it was a supply teacher who didn't understand. Do you know what I mean? That is, every child deserves an education. I started my political life in the fact that making sure that if if the child and the parents wanted mainstream school, that they should be supported. So I feel quite overwhelmed that you've come so far. So well done to yourself and your team. Brilliant work.
Councillor Dunn?
It's a nice lead on after, because you were talking about testimonials then. So I just happened in my own portfolio to have had the summer fit and fed summary, and you know how we work and offer things to children with educational needs or other vulnerable needs. It changes every single year. And so we, you know, this year we ran more SEND clubs and some actual special SEND activities because there was some funding. But one of the important things is how do we capture the feedback from not just the young person or the person accessing the activity or accessing, in this case, the things that happens in school, but the families, so that when we're looking at how we make improvements, that their voices are heard.
Thank you. This has been a real focus of ours over the last sort of 18 months whilst being in post, and I would say there's been a genuine and powerful shift towards collaboration and co-production with our families. So in my first stages of being head of SEND, I met with over 50 families to think about what their individual circumstances were like at the time of inspection and before, and what that looked like for them, what did it feel like. And we used all of that information to really start to shape our services. So the way in which we've pulled the 0 to 25 duty team that Sally mentioned together was all based on the family's feedback about how they felt when they didn't know the answer and they didn't know who to go to and they didn't have that communication back. We've also have 6 weekly family forums across the partnership. So it's myself that attends and leaders from the local authority, but leaders across health as well. We take family feedback and then we think about what the amendments could be made, and then we close the loop there. And we've also introduced from September this year fortnightly sort of lunch and learn sessions. So each fortnight on a Wednesday. So Wednesday lunchtimes fortnightly are now becoming kind of a family event. And families have told us what they want to know more about, but we use them as a presentation, but also a gathering of information from families to then translate that back to them about the impact and the changes we're having. We've also done quite a bit around the PPCV, so parent carer surveys. So we very recently had the parent carer survey for October this year. I've compared that to September's last year, and it really shows the stark difference in the way in which we're responding to families and what we've done since then. And so we're compiling that into a report to really show in more specific detail what families are telling us and what we're doing about it. And I would say everything that we've developed and created has come from the voices of children and young people and their families, talking about, you know, what's available in mainstream, how are we supporting training across the partnership. So we've put in a mandatory module. How are we thinking about neurodiversity in schools? So our families actually lead something we call the PINS project, which is a national project, but specifically in Plymouth, with schools really focusing on that neurodiversity, the training and the support for families, children and young people. And we work with families around the quality assurance of education, health and care plans. They tell us, you know, what was missing, what was wrong, and then we feed that back. So we do have a great closing of the loop now, because we have all of those opportunities to step back into that space and say, this is what we've done and these are the changes that we've made. And we've just pulled together the initial response for the PPCV, the Parent Family Survey, the Professionals and Young People Survey as well, to say thank you, to give parents the information about what we're doing, and created a whilst you wait sort of pamphlet that's gone along with that communication. And the next step is we're bringing together kind of a round table, if you like, of families to talk through, so what does that mean? What does the action plan look like? So that together we've got a co-created action plan that allows us to put the next steps into place. So yeah, and I thank PPCV for the support they've offered in that space to really develop the relationship we have with our families as well.
Thank you. Councillor Stevens, I think you had a question.
Thank you. It's good to note that the ambition of the plan is being realised, and that's coming over clearly, and that the SEND team is operating in real time, because there's a huge amount of effort being put in to realise that, and the cultural transformation is taking place. However, obviously there's a huge amount of work going in. What are the big risks to sustaining the current pace of work, particularly as we note there's the shortage of educational psychologists to help drive this forward?
And you're absolutely right, because you'll see in the report, and we've got in our general reports, that over the last year we've significantly improved the pace at which we can write education, health and care plans of higher quality and really be supportive of the young person and their family. And in the last year we've written and issued over 700 EHCPs, which is significant. We did have a large backlog, so hence why we've been working through that, but that is a significant piece of work. So what that does show is that our approach, systems and processes are correct, and what we're doing is right. As you alluded to, in terms of there is a national shortage of educational psychologists, we do have a local shortage, and for us it's about finding creative solutions to make sure that we can keep up with the pace of work that we have. So one of those solutions is around growing our own. Having assistant educational psychologists in that space, so they would be psychology students coming out of the university, the local universities, who would then take up an assistant role with us and take an element of that work and can really support with the assessments and the writing of those for children and young people. They would then stay with us as they move into their doctorate and then move into the role of educational psychology. And we know that works because we've trialled it, and we now have a psychologist who started with us this year who's gone through that very process. The other element is about the partnership and the collaboration, because yes, whilst waiting, it's important to think about what's on offer. So the principal educational psychologists are currently working with a group of families and some school leaders to think about what does it look like when we're waiting, because we may have to wait for the assessment, but actually what can we do in the interim period together, collaboratively with schools, collaboratively with the people who are wrapping around schools, to make sure that the young person feels supported, and that support is sustainable. So that's a big piece of work, and for me this isn't just a Plymouth concern. This is all of the local authorities we speak to have a very similar issue, the same issue. So we're putting heads together, so we're across the southwest in terms of the other heads of SEND that I work with and further afield, to think about what are the other ways in which we can meet our statutory duties. We can do the assessments in the way in which we have to do them in terms of law, but also make sure that they're timely, we do them at pace, and they're really appropriate for young people. And it's about thinking of different ways that we're able to do that.
Ask a follow-up, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I love the testimonials in there from a child and a family. What I would like to see in the future is a testimonial from a member, because schools are working hard to make this happen, but so are the council staff working hard in children's services to make it happen as well. And I'd love to see a testimonial from, I'll let you choose which one, from a member of staff to see what difference the transformation, the cultural transformation is making. And perhaps we can have a head start now. How do you feel?
I think if I feel really great. It's been a really positive journey. So I think it's one that many people within my team, within our team and the wider service would celebrate, because I think it's important to note that increasing pace in one team within the local authority impacts a huge number of people, not only within our sort of local authority space, but across our health services, across us, lots of services that are then impacted by that increase of pace and that increase of need. So, and I would say that together we've really thought about how we've done that carefully and with consideration. And I would imagine if I put that out to get feedback, there would be overwhelming feedback about how much better it feels. And Tina often reminds me of a story of one of my caseworkers on my team who do the phone duties now, and they support the families on the sort of front line, if you like. And when I first started, there was a hesitance and a reluctance to speak to families, answer the phone, because there was so many issues surrounding SEND that it was quite a scary, sort of thought to go onto the phones. And when she skipped into the office just a couple of months ago saying, I'm on duty today and I can't wait, I'm really excited, that is a massive transformation. So it's really great. And we hear that buzz in the office now of working with families, listening, talking together. So absolutely.
It's such a joyous place to be. It really is. And we sit amongst our teams and hear the calls and hear the depth of care. So, that worried grandma or that worried, parent, and that's culture, isn't it? And culture is all. So that, not fearful, but I just want to help, and to hear those conversations framed so beautifully, but also very honestly. So there will be a wait, but this is what we'll do with you whilst you wait. Yeah, really lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's really powerful to hear that. Councillor Aspinall, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Obviously, I sit on the SEND Improvement Board, and I get quite sort of fuddled sometimes with so many bits and pieces coming out of the woodwork. But How do you see that the SEND Delivery Board ensures that full partnership and collaboration is within the whole of that local area? Because it's so diverse, the people on that board, aren't they?
It is diverse, you're right, and it starts, I think Sally said in your introduction, around that strong accountability piece, which you probably feel in the board, I know I do, but actually there isn't one person in our partnership who wants to fail a child, and that's where you start, isn't it? And sometimes it's in frank conversations, isn't it? Both in the board and outside, it's making, we follow up on action, but that I was really pleasantly surprised when I arrived here in February, the extent of partnership, and that was the first thing that hit me between the eyes, that actually it's a really dedicated partnership right across. The fact that you have schools leading work streams, you know, galvanising around the belonging issue, around inclusion, and then with discernible outcomes as well. So we're bucking the trend nationally with school attendance, for example. We have reduced exclusions and suspensions, and that only comes from that kind of partnership accountability, real scrutiny and attention to detail, but showing up. So I mentioned the peer review on Thursday. Not many local authorities had the extent of partnership that we had there, including our parent carer forum, including our health colleagues, and including education. So, you know, a real strong commitment and drive and enthusiasm. And it's beyond pleasing inspectors. This is about doing the right thing for families.
Thank you, Chair. I think what I'm impressed with all of those ways that the people that sit on that board make sure they put their two pennyworth in, and we make sure that we are getting somewhere for the children. And I think that's what's really amazed me about that whole working together for health and education and the others that we have there. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I think partnership has come up through all the reports we've had so far in Cabinet today, and I think that really does say something about Plymouth and the way that we work in Plymouth. And talking about the way we work in Plymouth, Lisa, I can't let you go without saying a public thanks to you, because you are leaving to go off to a very exciting new post. And yes, that is very sad for us, but actually you have put in place such foundations and such a framework that we know that that improvement work will continue because of the work that you've led through your team. And we are enormously grateful for it. And I hope when you're selling yourself and your new home, you will think about what a difference you've made to Plymouth and what a legacy you are leaving behind. So a huge thank you from all of us for what you've done.
Thank you, that's really kind. Thank you very much.
So are there any other questions or comments? No, I don't think so. So the recommendation is fairly simple, really. Oh, sorry, Sally, did you want to come back in?
Firstly, to say and reiterate what you've just said as far as Lisa is concerned, but it's actually not just what we've done for Plymouth, but what we've done for each and every one of those children, because this isn't just about waiting for the call. This is about the ambition for all of our children. And I love that thing you said about this sort of the change with staff, a kind of a joyous culture. I think that's so important. And again, what keeps coming up is this co-creation, the working with our partners and partnerships, and really listening to our children and families and acting and responding. And I think that is really very much at the core of this and all of our team. And there's two other things I want to say. First of all, one of them is, can I draw your attention to the 10 wishes that were drawn up with our children? And this is so important as far as children's voice is concerned. I'd have to say that Leanne and I very often sort of carting this around from meeting to meeting to make sure that it's actually in the relevant meeting room, and really grateful that we've got it here and we can remind people of what the wishes are of our young people and children in Plymouth. And finally, a big thank you, in fact, to all of my cabinet colleagues and such, because I think what you can hear here very clearly is that, and I've certainly, and I apologise for having banged on so many occasions with both officers and also with my cabinet colleagues about SEND, but I think what we clearly have here is that SEND is everyone's business, and I think that we have provided, as well as the wonderful leadership that has come from our officers and leaders, we've also have made sure that we as elected members have also been champions as well, and have fulfilled and will continue to fulfill and have more to do as well in our role also. So thank you to each and every one of you on behalf of our children and young people, because that's who we're all doing it for.
Absolutely, and it's not just us saying it. I know you're going to talk in cabinet announcements about those awards that are in front of you. So, and I think it's worth or fair to mention your own leadership and championing of this area of the council's work. It's an important group of our city's young people and children, and look forward to you talking about those awards in a little bit. As I said, the recommendation is fairly simple, that Cabinet notes the report. So thank you very much, Lisa, good luck, and thank you very much, Amanda. Okay, so now we're moving on to item 9, which is digital apprentices, and I am going to hand over to Councillor Dan, who's going to introduce this item, and you're going to be joined by Chris Squire, Head of HR and OD, who's going to give us a presentation. So over to you, Sue.
Chris, are you staying down that end? Okay. That's fine. Normally when you hear the word digital, everybody thinks of spreadsheets, data, analysis, computers, bots, and everything else. But this isn't about all those things today, because this is about people. This is about how we are using funding to enhance the skills of our staff, because we know as we move forwards that life is changing. We all use AI in our life. Every single one of us who's got a smartphone has used AI, and it's how we use that technology to enhance what our staff can do, so that we get better at what we do using the brilliance of our staff, but also the technologies that are available. One of the things we're doing as a council is thinking, when we're thinking about our city help and support, is how we can use data and things like that to better enhance the provision of the services to our residents. And it has just heartened me, so I'm going to have to talk about where we use AI and data analysis very, very effectively already, to show that we are moving in the right direction. So my lovely colleague to my right here, Sally Cresswell, has just been talking about these ECHP plans and how the numbers of ECHP plans that we're able to put out. And Lisa talked about the quality and the capacity and the quality assurance that we can do. And part of the reason we have done that is because over the last 3 or 4 months, we have been using, and I'm going to quote you here, new digital tools and standard operating procedures. So what that means is that we are using AI to look at the data and the analysis to make sure that the information that goes into those individual ECHP plans gets in there quicker, it's of a quality, and it frees up staff to have those conversations with parents and their families and their children, which they couldn't do before. So in part, that's the reason why they're not scared to answer the phone anymore. It's because our processes and procedures have got better, and it's made the value of that person's job better. And I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge, that it is about us getting better and being able to deal with demand and capacity. But it's also very much about how we improve the quality of the work we deliver and what our staff can do with those tools. It's a real positive. So Plymouth City Council, we already spend, thankfully, all our apprenticeship money. So we would not be able to afford to do this if we hadn't drawn down £1.2 million in extra apprenticeship levy to be able to invest that into the 49 digital apprentices that we have right across the council. And the reason it's important is because in a landscape that is moving all the time, we cannot move forwards without bringing our people with us. And if we don't invest in our staff so that they can really understand and engage in the new ways of working and share that with their colleagues, we're always going to have resistance, because there is that natural resistance to data analysis and AI. You know, is this my job on the line? Well, it isn't actually. It's about how can we do more, deliver a better service, and actually make it better and invest in our staff. So that's the sort of the introduction I'd like to give, because I think this is the beginning, and over the years to come, we will have more digital apprentices who either will work in AI or work in data analysis across the council, which will help bring the council forwards and be able to cope with the new technologies, but not in a big scary way, top down, but in a really pragmatic, positive way, bottom up. And on that, I'll hand it over to Chris.
Thank you, Susan. We're trying something different here because you haven't had the slides. So rather than doing a kind of Wimbledon tennis thing with you looking at me up there and then looking at the slides here, I'm just going to try and present these by standing next to them.
Old-fashioned way.
Is that okay? Councillor Dan, thank you for those words. Conscious people haven't seen the slides. This is all fairly new, but I was asked to do a quick briefing at the end of this cabinet session on really what I think is a really exciting piece of workforce development that happens to be about data and artificial intelligence. So what is this? We're calling it Digital Academy, or we can call it Data and AI Academy as well. It's using an apprenticeship framework, as Councillor Dan explained just now. It's the development of skills in data and artificial intelligence. Just a brief aside here in terms of our apprenticeship programme. As Councillor Dan said, we spend our apprenticeship levy, approximately £600,000 apprenticeship levy. We have, including this programme, 188 apprentices, or people studying for apprenticeship qualifications in the council. That includes new starters and existing staff upskilling as well. So 188 there. We support about 65, I think, staff in schools as well, studying apprenticeships. And we also passport some of our levy, it's about £150,000, to provider organisations in the city. These are typically social care providers. There's about, I think there's 41 at the last count in 19 different social care organisations in the city. So pretty impressive on the apprenticeship front. We're partnering with a company called Multiverse. They're specialists in data and artificial intelligence. And what Multiverse have done is arrange for us to receive a levy transfer from a very large technology organisation. Okay, so that's around about £750,000 worth. So as Councillor Dan said, it's £1.2 million in total we are spending on apprenticeships in Plymouth City Council. Potential impact here is across customer experience, it's across budgets, it's across demand forecasting as well. So these are the areas we're focusing on. The work was done, as we set this work up, it was done by interviewing senior colleagues around this table about what their priorities were for data and artificial intelligence and what their strategic priorities were for their areas of work. And we're in good company, as you can see from this list of organisations here, across local authorities, central government, NHS as well. So we're working on a format that's been well rehearsed and practised elsewhere. Examples here, so some press releases from other organisations, the Nottingham City Council, we've got Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, we've got Essex County Council as well. So again, just emphasising this approach is used elsewhere. And then some examples from elsewhere. I won't read these all out verbatim, but for example, in adults, we've got one organisation looking to build a framework for adult day services with predicted savings there. We can see it in housing, in planning, in parking, in children's services as well. So some really interesting areas, very, very pertinent to a unitary organisation such as ours. So just a summary of that, the how we're doing it: apprenticeships for existing members of staff, Sorry, can you see the slides? Is that? Yeah, can you?
He's concentrating on the pound side.
I know, that's that's what I thought I'd look at. So apprenticeships for existing members of staff, 49 staff in cohort 1. Okay. Funded through apprenticeship levy transfer from a large technology company, £750,000, and designed following fact-finding interviews with senior leaders in Plymouth City Council. The key programme, so getting into a little bit of detail here, so for the educationalists amongst us, the key programmes we're looking at here, data and insights of business decisions, that's a level 3, so kind of A-level equivalent. That's for data users. We've got data fellowship at level 4, for data champions, so enhancing our data quality and advanced skills there. On the AI side, AI-powered productivity, so that's daily efficiencies through Copilot, for example, and other AI tools. So we mentioned the education, health and care plans earlier on. And then level 4, AI for business values. That's for AI implementers who are helping teams use AI. We actually have a couple of level 6s as well, but they're not part of the general programs. And then in summary, it's across all directorates. At the moment, mostly from Customer and Corporate Services and the Growth Directorate as well. The next focus will be on our people services. We are measuring the feedback from our apprentices. Okay, so from those doing the program, so measuring the feedback from them and their managers. At the moment, it's only 3 months we've been doing this. 91% of managers are saying there's a positive impact already. 83%, we need to increase this figure, but still pretty good after 2 or 3 months. 83% of learners say they're well supported, they feel supported. And at the moment, 66% of managers saying the work our colleagues are doing on these programs is having a positive impact on business outcomes. That's only after, well, it's 2 months when this was taken, so 3 months now. And we've worked on a plan with Multiverse as to how we're doing this. So the themes that came through from the interviews with senior leaders in this council were elevating customer experience, reducing financial pressures, and championing digital skills culture across the organisation. As I mentioned, we have those key measures there, so the percentage of staff enrolled in programmes, percentage of line managers who agreed apprentices have delivered business impact. And then underneath that, things such as time saved per learner. So we are looking at processes, in-depth processes as people try to improve things there. We're also looking at cost savings, reduction in budget variances, and then obviously on the skills culture side of things, completion rates and staff participation. I won't go through this in detail, this slide, but part of what we have to do here is a communications exercise, keep it live and interesting for colleagues as well. So there's going to be a huge communications programme, so kind of individual learner spotlights on our learners. We are doing 3 modules of a leadership session as well, so taking our leaders through what AI is about, what large language models are, what generative AI is, how they can implement it, so how they can link things to their strategies, and then probably most important for a lot of us at the moment, the governance and the ethics of using AI as well. So 3 separate modules there that our leaders will go through. We are running a series of hackathons as well. So these are kind of day events really. We'll bring our learners together. They'll be issued with a problem, a kind of gnarly issue that we need to solve as an organisation. That will be done in consultation with our leaders as well. And then we'll basically put them in a room, throw sweets in there, close the door, and then they come out having solved the problem. But that's the idea, is we take them through a problem and using their kind of newly acquired skills. We'll do a series of lunch and learns. We'll have engagement sessions for managers, coffee mornings, virtual coffee mornings for those people as well, and then finally a graduation ceremony as well. So it's a really well-structured programme that's coming along. Actual learner projects, these have been verified and validated. And again, we're getting into some detail here with people. I won't go through it line by line, but Carol in Customer and Corporate Services, resolving garden waste complaints. So through her use of data skills, the data skills she picked up on her programme already, so she's doing data and insights for business decisions. She worked a way of using a spreadsheet to actually categorise the complaints, find out where they're coming from, resolve things on the phone, and that's resulted in a big reduction in garden waste complaints. Michael, Customer and Corporate Services. We've been upgrading to Windows 11. Some of you might have noticed. And There was a problem with the project in terms of validating the information coming out of our payroll system, out of our IT records and such like. And that was taking the program manager, the project manager, an enormous amount of time daily to sort this. The processes that Michael then developed took that time needed for this work from 2 to 3 hours a day down to 30 minutes. And then finally for this, Alex from Finance, love this one. So he has developed a tool using Microsoft Copilot agents. If you've got Copilots on the left-hand side, click on agents and you can start playing with that. He developed an agent that would automate customer queries. So greatly reducing the amount of time that people needed to spend talking with the finance team, and so the finance team resolving issues and having more of a self-service type approach to it. So some really nice early work on this. And then what's next? So I said it's cohort 1. We're planning for cohort 2 now, again funded through an apprenticeship levy transfer. We'll target adults, health and communities, children's services and public health for that. That's not excluding others, but there are real benefits in those directorates. We've got our leadership sessions that I mentioned, the hackathons, the communications programme, and then we're going to start formalising the connections to our strategic priorities, our strategic programme. So this first cohort is almost, if you look at change management theory, you're kind of disrupting, you're getting people excited by it and such like. I think we described it at our corporate management team meeting last week as 1,000 flowers blooming. But actually we need to formalise some of that now and get that linked and plugged into our strategic programme. So making sure there's a kind of nice thread running down the organisation there. We're going to do a skills audit of staff as well. So what skills do our staff need? So I'll run that again with Multiverse as well so that we'll get their help for that. So have a real understanding of what people's digital skills are. And that will include things such as Microsoft 365. And then we're going to explore other learning programs as well. Okay, so we've got 49 staff on this cohort, hopefully have a similar number, if not more, for the next cohort. But actually there's a load of generic skills we need to make sure we're equipping people with as well. And we can work with our partner organisations on rolling out digital boot camps across the council. And that is that, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Sue, did you want to come back in?
Not really, but I do think I'm going to read the quote that's going to go out in the press release because I think it sums up where we are. It says, we're investing in our people and not just technology. It's about giving staff the skills and the confidence to lead change, not just react to it. AI is the future, but we're making sure the future is built on care, on ethics, and human insight. We're not replacing people, we're empowering them. And if you think of the challenges that we have in delivering some of our services in Plymouth, if we can make them more effective, more resilient, building capacity, then we're definitely doing the right thing. And I think this is it's a really, when I say exciting, I'm not going to jump up and down and get excited about this, but when you talk to the staff who are involved in these new programmes, it really is good because they feel that they have ownership of the work and they can come to work and do a job even better, which is great.
Thank you. I've just got a question around councillors and members, elected members, and just how you can kind of address, I know a lot of people are quite scared by this. This is significant change and people do have concerns and worries about AI and what it means. And we go right back to the thing about the branding work and being advocates. How can we make sure that councillors really understand the impact that this is going to have and how they can also advocate for the use of AI?
I think when we've been talking about it in the past, it's always been conceptual. We've not had the real examples that we can use in-house. Now that we have, the plan is to bring it to scrutiny, for scrutiny to see where it is and where the work is going, but also to bring it into groups as well, because I think, whenever I go to scrutiny, I always get challenged with the what if or the person, the 5% who cannot access this, the 5% who cannot do this. And what this will enable us to do is spend and use AI and data insights to do all the routine business things, which then frees up people to deal with those vulnerable, complex cases that the councillors are concerned about. And I think now we've got real examples. I think we've got a really clear narrative about how we are supporting people. And I think there's been, that's why I think there's been a real turning point over the last 12 months. And because staff are embracing it and are showing the results, we've got something positive to talk about. So we need to start doing that now. And we didn't do it before because there were too many unanswered questions. I think we can answer a lot of those questions now in a really positive way. Chris, I don't know whether you want to add anything to that.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Dan. I think through our analysis of IT activity, we have 900 staff, I think, accessing Copilot at the moment, so using AI tools in their everyday jobs, which is massive. And we're all using it to kind of help our thinking processes, help write job descriptions, whatever it is. So we're using this on a daily basis. In terms of the role of councillors, I think the interest and curiosity is what I'd be asking for, and support for programs like this. You know, if we're running hackathons as we describe them, wouldn't it be great if we could have an elected member there just to observe what's going on, or to hear the feedback at the end of the session on what the issue might be? So it's incumbent on us as officers, I think, to bring you into the fold as well. So I think interest and curiosity, absolutely. Thank you.
My last point is we are just about to appoint a digital champion as well. So there will be a councillor who will be part of that conversation.
Great, thank you. Well, brave new world, but we've got to do it. It's happening. So yeah, I mean, I think actually your presentation just kind of demystified some of the myths and worries that people have about it, and it's a really inspired use of the apprenticeship levy as well, I think. So thank you. I haven't got anything here to note, or we'll just kind of listen to your presentation. And also, one thing I think about the feedback from staff, I think maybe sharing that with councillors on a kind of regular basis would be really, really helpful for them to understand how it really is impacting people's day-to-day jobs. Thank you very much, Councillor Dan. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, so now you have to pretend I'm Tudor for a few minutes because we move on to leaders' announcements. And in his absence, he's asked me to do a few announcements for him. This has been a pretty momentous month already, and it's just worthy of a few moments of reflection. So Plymouth has been named one of 5 key national defence growth areas in the UK Defence Industrial Strategy, backed by a £250 million UK-wide investment. This landmark designation marks a pivotal moment for the city, opening up access to new opportunities that can shift the dial on Plymouth's economic trajectory and unlock long-term prosperity for local communities and future generations. The newly launched Team Plymouth will strengthen collaboration between key organisations, foster innovation and create high-quality jobs. This strategic partnership positions Plymouth to lead in defence, marine autonomy and advanced manufacturing, securing its place at the forefront of national resilience and regional renewal. The announcement builds on a series of recent major developments, including Plymouth's designation as the National Centre for Marine Autonomy, a £350 million investment by defence tech firm Helsing, Babcock's expansion into Sherford with a new integrated logistics hub and advanced manufacturing base, and the confirmation of Plymouth and South Devon Freeport as a defence strategic investment zone. And I just want to talk a bit about the New Towns announcement. So the New Towns Commission has recommended Plymouth as one of just 12 places to be taken forward as part of the government's next generation of new towns, marking a bold and exciting new chapter for the city's future. Over the past year, Plymouth has worked closely with the New Towns Commission, welcoming visits from commissioners to hear directly about our city's ambitious plans. Their recognition of Plymouth's potential is a powerful endorsement of Plymouth's vision and the city's readiness to deliver, and we will now work with the government as they undertake their final assessments and make their decision early next year. And I want to mention a bit about the new pontoon for Mountbatten. A multi-million-pound investment is set to transform the Mountbatten pontoon into a safer, more accessible and future-ready marine gateway. Following the removal of the old pontoon and link bridge earlier this summer, the next phase of the project will see the construction of a state-of-the-art replacement. This new structure will secure the long-term future of the Mountbatten Ferry and enhance access to water-based activities for residents and visitors alike through the Plymouth Sound National Marine Park partner, the Mountbatten Water Sports and Activity Centre. With a total investment of £4.2 million, the scheme will repair critical infrastructure, including the bridgehead and seawall, and introduce new commercial berths that will generate income to support the pontoon's upkeep for decades to come. This sensitive restoration project is made possible thanks to funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, UK Government and Plymouth City Council, and it will enable greater accessibility to Plymouth Sound National Marine Park, helping more people connect with the water and its heritage. So those are Tudor's announcements. I've got some announcements of my own, but I'll let Cabinet do some of theirs first before I chip in. So who has got announcements? Who wants to start? Okay, Councillor Dan.
I've got a few because I wasn't here for the last cabinet because I was up in Westminster representing the council. Well, I was actually representing Councillor Briarsdale, actually. Anyway, this has been hanging around for ages, but I've only just been allowed to announce it formally. But I am delighted to announce that Plymouth has been selected as one of Sport England's priority places. We've been working with Sport England over the last 5 years in something called the Pathfinder project, which works specifically in communities and in schools to help support children and young people who are facing challenges, how they can use physical activity as a way to move forwards. And we've been able to show that by being active, it supports their emotional health, their physical health, but also things like being at school. It helps their behaviour and it helps their concentration. So it works. So we've been awarded 1.8 million. There is a plan in place and there will be some PR on this coming out very, very soon. But it seems I've been wanting to talk about this for months, so I'm putting it out there today. I know. I talked a little bit about the Summer Fit and Fed programme, and I'm just going to do just a couple of the headliners, because actually I think I want to bring a full report back to Cabinet, because this is such a fantastic scheme. So this summer, 17,851 free spaces over 93 holiday clubs with 58 delivery partners. So that is the wide scope of the delivery across the whole of the council. And that is, you know, it's amazing really. And a lot of these are for young people who wouldn't at other times have the opportunity to do anything during the school holidays. And of course, during the 4 community park events at Victoria Park, Topsail Park, Settle Green and Central Park, we gave over 2,500 free packed lunches. So because I'm going to bring you back a report, I'm only going to read out 2 quotes and testimonials, because I know, John, you like a testimonial, don't you? I love this one. So this is from a parent. Assessing fit and fed sessions has been amazing. My son has specific needs that many places couldn't accommodate, but you took the time to accommodate him. Over the summer, he was happy, settled and excited to attend, something we've never experienced before. He loved the trips like Saltram, and for the first time, he felt included. The support this allowed me to work, as I have no family network and no other suitable providers. Your understanding and care made a huge difference, and I'm truly grateful. So I think that shows where it's not just the young person, it's also the family and the community which benefits from the support that you put in. And then the other one I loved was, I made a new friend. So this is from a child now, not a parent. I made a new friend. We didn't know each other before, but we sat next to each other at lunch and then we played football together. Now we want to see each other at the next holiday club. And just some of these things for children who wouldn't have those things, it makes such a huge difference to the quality of their leisure time. I'm saying no more because I'm going to come back at another time, but I haven't finished yet though. Sorry, Councillor Lang. I've got some other boasts now. So we haven't had any new divers come through lately in Plymouth, but we're going to get some now. So we're getting a lot of national recognition now from building up our diving programme, which sort of during COVID, as you can imagine, suffered a little bit because you can't dive if a swimming pool's not open. It's very difficult. So just letting you know. And dangerous, yes, and dangerous. Anyway, so, but three, Oliver, Amelia and Harry from our Plymouth Diving have been selected to join the Swim England Junior Development Squad. And Ewan and Oliver have also been selected for Aquatics GP World Class Programme for 25-26. So this is the elite pathway for diving, which I think is amazing. I've met these young people and their parents, and it's just fantastic. PAL, so Plymouth Active Leisure, is a finalist in the National Swim England Awards being held on the 29th of November. And the award, and this is what I love, is for the Pioneering Operator Award for an innovative approach to aquatics. And that's because we're not just looking at swimming in the pools, but all the stuff that we do incorporating the city's open water swimming, all the stuff that we do for the National Marine Park and water safety, and everything else that we do, and supporting young people and carers and children with special educational needs. So that's a really, really great recognition. You know, our pools have been open. It's been such a lovely sunny summer. 41,000 visits to Tinside this year. So that's up by 64% on last year. And it's a shame Councillor Coke is here because he would love this. 37,500 visits to Mount Wise, and that's up from 44% last year. So it just shows you that when the sun shines, those pools are they're just a treasure, aren't they? And we delivered Swim Safe, which is the free Swim Safe programme, to 2,750 young people. And if any of you haven't done it or don't know how to swim safely in the sea, it doesn't matter what age you are, because I did it last year with my granddaughter. It's great because you learn how to be safe and inside, and then you go into the open water. So for young people, it's a fantastic course. And then it was interesting when Lisa was talking about how when you work across the system, how you can really make a difference. And one of the things we've been trying to do is try and link what we do as a health and wellbeing team within the council with the NHS. And finally, we've got a little pilot we can talk about. So I do want to talk about this because I'm hoping that this might be the first of many. So Louise Kelly, who you've met before, Active Wellbeing Team, has been working with the physiotherapy department in Derriford. And now, on a weekly basis, their treatment clinic has moved from Derriford to the Life Centre, which means that more people will access the Life Centre. But it also means that we can definitely show the link then about prevention, about if we work together with people who need better physical activity through the NHS, through their teams, with the Life Centre, we are definitely showing how there is that direct link between physical activity, mental health, health and wellbeing. And you think of the city health and support thing that we're trying to do in the city, which is target interventions to people earlier to keep them active and well. That is a perfect example of how it should work. And I think that is it. Oh no, sorry, no, I've got one more, didn't turn the page over. Oh, Jackie Floyd, one of our coaches, is in the Fitness Heroes category of the UK Active Awards on the 30th of October. Now, I don't know more about that, but I'm assuming that he's an actual hero with all the training that he does with people who have got special needs up at the Life Centre.
Thank you. And you didn't mention the youth swims, which have been a real success.
Oh, the youth evenings.
Yeah,
I
on a Monday night.
On those. So on the Monday, and they're actually we will mention them because they've stopped now, obviously, because the pool is empty, but they are continuing them through the winter by using the amazing space up at Tinside all the way through the winter. And they are such a benefit to young people. And it also gives them a real appreciation of the local environment as well. It's been great.
Lovely.
I'll get the numbers on that for you for next time.
Great. Thank you very much, Sue. Councillor Creswell, would you like to go next and talk about those lovely things you have on your desk in front of you?
How did you know? How did you know? So, as you're all aware, I was delighted at a recent Cabinet meeting to announce that Plymouth was shortlisted for 2 prestigious awards at the NASAN National Send Awards 2025. And this is a testament to the hard work, dedication and innovation of our incredible partners. And further to update you, just in case anyone isn't actually aware, I don't know if anyone isn't sure of this, but we won on the night for our supported internship work across the city, which has been recognised with it was the co-production award celebrating the collaborative efforts that have transformed opportunities for young people with SEND. And the latest figure I've got was 106 in supported internships, but that could well have changed since then and would have been up again. This is a huge accolade of the outstanding work as well of Discovery College and Tom Lavis and the Plymouth Skills team, which is led by the brilliant Tina Brinkworth. So we are so lucky to have such brilliant people ourselves and have such brilliant people who we can co-collaborate with as well. So I'll just put that one down and then go on to say that we were also proud to be runners-up for the SEND Resource of the Year 2025, praised for the development of the graduated approach and resource directory, very much championed and such by Lisa MacDonald, and the innovative support for our learners with SEND, which, as I said, has been led by Lisa as our head of service. This recognition highlights the amazing work of the whole Plymouth partnership. And together we are truly putting Plymouth on the map as a leader in an inclusive education and support. And could I just say as well that something that Lisa said earlier was that others outside, of course, Plymouth are seeking our advice and support as far as our good practice is concerned. And so actually our message it's not just benefiting our young people in Plymouth and our children in Plymouth, but also it's an opportunity to actually work in that professional capacity and support and help the lives of young people beyond the city as well. So I think that is something so much to be congratulated, and it's so good to know that we are real innovators and leading in other areas of the country as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crystal. Where are they going to live?
Well, they will, of course, live. They will live here, but I do have to look after them carefully for the next couple of days because we are going to go down to Discovery College and have a little presentation with Tom Lavis down at Discovery College. And I was hoping, of course, at the next full council that we will have a bit of a presentation at the next full council as well. But in the meantime, I will be carefully looking after them.
Thank you. So I'm going to do my announcements now, and we're going to play a video in a minute of a new fostering awareness film called The Run, which premiered on the 9th of October, which aims to highlight the need for more foster carers in Plymouth. This is an incredible film. It's a collaboration between over 90 local authority fostering services and Can Digital, and it's part of a national campaign. The film focuses on Tom, who's an 11-year-old boy, contrasting his need to run away from danger and a chaotic home life and the fear of doing the wrong thing to get to school in time for breakfast club because he's hungry, with his joy of running as a sport. And the message of this project is really simple but so important. We need foster carers, and we need people to foster for Plymouth and make a real difference to the lives of children and young people. The Run is a brilliant, emotional film none of us could have produced on our own, which is why this partnership is so important. And it won't change things on its own, this film, but we hope that everybody who sees it will at least pause for thought, hopefully stepping forward to help our most vulnerable children and young people. And I honestly think, in terms of really describing the impact you can have on a young person's life in such a short amount of time, this film really does that job, and it is very emotional. So I should preface the film with that, but I would like to share the film with you now.
So Tom, I wanted to ask, how's everything going? On your marks, set.
Sorry, love, done.
These are from Lost Property. Stick them on.
Yeah, you know, it's been different. I was tired.
I'm gonna need you to make a delivery for us, okay?
Yeah, oi, where you going? Oi, where you going?
I suppose I felt like giving in.
So, do you know what foster care is? Just them knowing that you're around and that they can go to you if they want to.
It's not what I expected.
Is that Poppy coming in?
Yeah, can you get some biscuits?
In what way?
I thought they'd let me down like everybody else. You don't know how it's gonna go.
We've been here a while now. It's really okay.
I didn't know who they were or why they would care. About me. At first I just wanted to run.
Just kicked my foot and I went like...
All the time.
Tom, it's all right.
We'll clear it up.
And now? Do you still want to run?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Look what you did!
Next time, I'm gonna win.
I mean, that film is so powerful, isn't it, I think? And I would just say to anybody who sees it or anybody thinking about fostering, just have that first conversation. There's loads of ways to get in touch with Foster for Plymouth. We need you. Our city's children need you. And the difference you can make, I think, is really summed up by that incredible film. So thank you to Can Digital for just creating such a poignant and important film for us to share. I want to talk a little bit about the box. As you know, we celebrated the box's 5th birthday a couple of weeks ago, and we had some really good positive headlines about the box's impact on the city in its first 5 years, and I'm just going to share some stats with you. So 50% of the visitors that we've had to the box are residents of Plymouth. We've had 72,000 visits by international visitors, and as part of over 1,000 visits from schools across Plymouth, Devon and Cornwall and beyond, the box has welcomed more than 40,000 school children. The economic impact, £28 million contribution to the Plymouth economy by visitors to the box. 72% of all the box's spending goes to suppliers based within the southwest, and 100% to suppliers based in the UK. Over 100,000 hours of volunteering has taken place at the box since 2020, with an estimated economic value of 1.1 million. And when it comes to health and well-being, it's been estimated that there's £43 million in benefits from reduced incidence of depression and dementia among adults aged over 50, 49 million in estimated benefits from improved general health among adults aged 30 to 49, including improved quality of life and increased productivity from engagement with the box. And it's impacted the lives of young people with around 250,000 visits to date by people aged under 25, which I think are pretty stunning stats for the first 5 years. And it's because of things like what I'm about to talk about now, which is our incredible exhibitions that we have at the box. The new season opened at the box last week. Remember, Respond, Resist, in partnership with the British Council and the Centre for Contemporary Art in Gdansk. There's one gallery entirely devoted to Grayson Perry's tapestries, The Vanity of Small Things, which tells you the fictional story of Tim Rakewell, a tech entrepreneur, and they are really something to behold. You need to give yourself a bit of time to go in and look at them closely so you can appreciate them properly. And actually my husband's very favourite artist who he wrote a thesis about many, many years ago. One of her works is on the wall in the main exhibition, and I was like, my goodness, there's one of her works here. You know, incredible world-class art in Plymouth for free for our residents to come and see. Another really good news story is that the DCMS announced its museum renewal fund on Wednesday, and the box has received a share of the £20 million available to support museums across the country. And also, the box is the museum in residence at number 10 Downing Street for a year. So that means that a selection of works from the city's collections have been displayed in the main corridors at number 10. Works include Stanley Spencer, Jack Pickup and Alfred Wallace, who was born in Plymouth, even though he is mostly associated with being a St Ives artist. The works were installed at the end of September, and we're going to get some photographs that we will be able to share with people. But that's a real accolade to have Plymouth on the walls of number 10. That's the next time round, yeah. No, so that's something very important and impressive for the city, which I'm really, really thrilled about. And so now I'm going to hand over to Councillor Hayden.
Thank you. So today starts our week of hate crime awareness. We mark Hate Crime Awareness Week in 2025 with care and the purpose of coming together to support one another and stand against harm in all its form. We gather to reframe our shared commitment to dignity, respect and justice for everyone. Hate crime harms individuals and weakens the bonds that hold our communities together and creating fear and silencing people's voices. So what does this mean for Plymouth? This week is about Plymouthians standing together, listening to those affected and sharing their stories with compassion and responding with thoughtful and sustained actions rather than just ignoring people. We stand together and we will challenge hate crime wherever it appears, on our streets, online, in schools or at work. So, our role. Everyone has a part to play, whether you're a neighbour, a teacher, a police officer or a policymaker. Your voice, your actions matter. By speaking up and offering support and promoting inclusion, we help create safe and a welcoming space. So our call to action, let's this week be a moment of real change, to learn, to act and build communities where everyone feels safe and valued and free to be themselves. Hate crime has no place here in Plymouth. So just moving on to another part of my portfolio is announcements, and we've seemed to have gone from summer sessions and we're now into bonfire, but I promise you I won't mention the C word just yet. All right, Christmas that is, obviously. Just in case anyone wanted to query that, I thought I'd better explain. So we have really pleased to say that we would have Bonfire Night is coming again on the Hoe. This is a free event for everyone to experience. The fairground will open at 4 p.m. on the promenade and catering will start from 5 p.m. Obviously, you have to pay for the fairground and any catering, by the way. It's just the bonfire and the fireworks is free. So the bonfire will be lit at 7 p.m. and the fireworks will be displayed, will be taking place, from the Royal Citadel from 7:30. Really proud to say that the fireworks have been provided by Sonic, Sonic Fireworks, who were completed in this year's British Firework Championship. And the event is sponsored by Plymouth Waterfront Partnership. So thank you very much to them for supporting that. And then we'll be moving on very quickly to Remembrance Sunday on the Hoe. And this happens every year. This will be on the 9th of the 11th. And the service will begin at 11 a.m. I did promise I wouldn't mention too much about that C word, but I do need to slip in the fact that the city centre light switch on will be on the 13th of the 11th, 25. And I just wanted also to take this opportunity while we were talking about remembrance, just to say that the park crematorium this year will be hosting their poppy display, as well as the city and the great work that Councillor Pauline Murphy has been doing. To say a huge thank you to all the knitters. Personally, I've learnt to knit myself and I can now knit a poppy. But no, a huge thank you to everybody who's took part. So that's coming on very nicely. And I look forward to seeing all the others around the city. But I'm sure Pauline will update us nearer the time. So that's it from me. Thank you.
And I think your mum knitted a rather enormous amount, didn't she? How many did she do?
She did. In total, we went down and met Graham, and it was 500 poppies. And I made 63 on top of that. Okay. But no, on a serious note, she's done really well, and she's got a couple of knitter and chatter groups that have helped as well. So it's a good start for the park, and it's looking quite nice out there. But look forward to seeing everything around the city as well. But thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stevens?
Thank you. I'm pleased to share with colleagues here the interim results of the Transport Focus, Your Bus Journey Survey, being undertaken in Plymouth. Plymouth is one of over 50 local authorities in England that take part in this. So why do we take part in the surveys? We take part to support the work of the Plymouth Enhanced Bus Partnership, including the monitoring of our bus service improvement plan, and the data suggests that the work of the partnership and our investment in public transport, both services and infrastructure, delivering against passenger priorities is having a positive effect. The data shows that passengers' overall satisfaction with their bus journey is high, with 89% of respondents being either very satisfied or fairly satisfied with their journey, and that's 2% higher than the average for other urban areas taking part in the survey, and 5% higher than the average of all England areas. We're also performing well with regard to the length of time people have to wait for a bus, 81% satisfied, the punctuality of services, 84%, the length of time the journey takes, that's 88%, and Plymouth's bus drivers, they have an 89% satisfied rate. My daughter will be pleased. She's one of them. The final results are expected in spring, and I look forward to sharing the report with you all then. Notwithstanding, obviously, there was a glitch some of you may be aware of through residents in one of our operators' standard of service in September, but I'm thankful to the public transport team for working hard to turn that around as soon as they could for the benefit of residents, visitors, and children, particularly going to school. So that's good news in the bus service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like to turn your mic off, John? Oh, you're sharing. Oh, no. No, you're done. Councillor Larry.
I just wanted to briefly give you a little bit of an update on the city centre, the number of shops that are contained in the city centre. Always a very topical subject. And of course, like many high streets, Plymouth's no different in that it has struggled for a number of years, because the reality is we all now shop a lot more on the internet than we ever used to, of course. However, when we carried out a survey 12 months ago as to the number of empty premises that existed in our city centre, there were exactly 100. As of today, there are exactly 100 empty shop premises. Today, there are 64. So we have collectively created 34 new businesses and shops that are operating in the city centre. And obviously that's great news, because that's below the national average, which is approximately about 11%. We're now just below 10%, of course, and we've got a team working very proactively with the existing businesses and, of course, attracting new businesses to our city centre. So we're making some really good progress, and we're seeing that by the nature of the shops. So in Drake Circus, for instance, you'd be pleased to know that Pro Cook, premium sort of cookware and tableware and kitchen accessories business is open. And the UK's first Victoria Beauty assortment store is also open. on the other end of the high street, down into the West End, as we refer to it, there's a new business there called Alpha, which is an international supermarket and cafe, and that's opened 2 units in Derry's Cross. Now, I'm particularly pleased about that because Derry's Cross has been empty for 5 years, and I'm pleased to say there are other people also interested in opening a business down there. In addition to that, on Mayflower Street, you might have seen a brand new coffee shop that's just opened. It's called the Green Room. I went up there myself on Friday. I actually couldn't even get in the door. Every seat inside and outside was taken. I went in and spoke to the people who obviously set up that business, and they've been working with officers some time to come to our city. And the reason they're here is because we're making investments in our city centre, and they can see a future going forward. Drake Circus and the Barcode are almost fully let. The Waterstones, H&M, Hollett and Barrett have all had major refits, which confirm they're interested in staying as premier retailers in our city centre. And we've also got some tenants going into the Waterstones building in New George Street and the old Brewster store in New George Street. So we are seeing people coming back into our city centre. We're putting on more events. We had literally 3 times as many events held in our city centre this year than we did last year. We're also seeing a substantial increase in footfall. So the plan is coming to fruition. It's still a long way to go. There's still a lot more work to do. The next stage of Armada Way is progressing really well, and I hope to be able to make an announcement that maybe the end of this month we'll probably be able to see the next phase opening up and return that to the public realm. And the rest of the project is progressing really, really well. I go out there every week to see the team. They're on programme, they're on budget. Some of the challenges we've had previously haven't materialised, thankfully. So fingers crossed, and all the hard work that everyone's been doing should hopefully ensure that we're able to open each phase on the times of which we predicted. So some great news for our city centre. And I know in speaking to the city centre company and many of the retailers, they're delighted with what we're doing. They obviously want more. Everybody always does, of course, but they're happy with the direction of travel. And we've seen that this year in the support we got and the city centre company got in the ballot around the recreation of the city centre company. So, and it's 73 days to go until Christmas Day. So just please make that little bit of effort to go to the city centre and spend a few quid in the shops, because it's a really important time of year for our retailers. And maybe if we go on a Thursday evening and enjoy the lights that Sally's arranging for us, we can help those retailers as well. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Mark. Chris.
Thank you very much. And a couple of bits on housing. Last week, our city centre housing aspirations had a major boost with the announcement that the Council and Plymouth Community Homes have secured vital grant funding from Homes England to enable work to start on creating 80 new homes for social rent in Plymouth City Centre. Plymouth Community Homes will work in close partnership with the Council to deliver a new eco-friendly neighbourhood on land off Bath Street in the Millbay Regeneration Area, which will eventually provide up to 135 affordable homes overall for social rent. And I think I'm going to keep on emphasising social rent because that's the cheapest form of affordable rent there is, as well as some shared ownership purchases on the site as well, all to meet local housing need. The £33.5 million scheme will create a brand new community on the temporary car park bordering Martin Street with energy efficient new homes made available for those on the Devon Home Choice waiting list for a home at social rent, as well as communal gardens created featuring children's play areas in open green spaces and commercial business units. The scheme was awarded full planning permission at the end of 2023, and we and Plymouth Community Homes have now jointly secured the necessary grant funding from Homes England to enable building work to get started. Grants and funding contributions from us total in excess of £5 million from Plan for Homes, and funding from PCH of £14.2 million through loans and subsidies have all been part of securing the very substantial support from Homes England. So a very big thank you to them, and it's a great partnership bringing new homes into the city centre. Earlier today, I met with Chris Nicholson, the chair of Bournemouth Churches Housing Association. BCHA already accommodate more than 240 households across Plymouth. They're a trusted local partner thanks to their work with the Plymouth Alliance, a multi-agency operation dedicated to the support of households facing multiple disadvantages. As well as that, BCHA provides supported housing to some of our adults with additional support needs and housing for Ukrainian and Afghan families as part of government schemes. I'm really pleased that we're signing a new housing partnership with BCHA. This aims to bring forward a total of £18.3 million worth of investment in the city and will deliver a forecasted 63 new affordable homes within the next 5 years. As well as the building of new homes, the agreement will help consolidate and further develop the joint work between the Council and BCHA and enable the acquisition of existing homes for those in housing need. With extensive experience and a proven track record for delivery, BCHA will provide an initial £7 million worth of funding, while the Council will provide £1 million and land opportunities through Plan for Homes 4. A further £10 million will be sought through Homes England grants. The new homes will be a mixture of affordable tenures while seeking to maximise homes available for social rent. Delivery will focus on the provision of general needs family affordable housing, as well as ensuring the right supply of more specialist and supported accommodation, the first of our strategic housing partners to deliver that specific agenda. I'm really pleased to formalise what has been a fruitful relationship between the Council and BCHA for more than a decade now, and to continue that fine working relationship that we have. This morning, Chris and I agreed that ultimately this is about improving the lives of people living on the very hard edge of housing crisis and helping to support those into being able to secure and maintain long-term homes that are theirs rather than the current chaotic lifestyles so many of them experience, because these families aren't just statistics. They're people who want what should be a basic human right everywhere, somewhere to call home. And I'm confident that this partnership can make a difference, and I'm really pleased that that makes 3 housing partnerships that we have now signed, one with Plymouth Community Homes, one with Live West, and now this one with Bournemouth Churches. So a big thank you to them, because they're committing a lot of their money to Plymouth and to helping us support people in Plymouth who have a housing need. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, gosh, that's a really important announcement. Councillor Espinel.
Thank you, Chair. Our vaccination campaign, which is called Plymouth Protects, has now been launched, and we're very grateful to how supportive partners have been with this campaign, with lots of posters going up around the city. And I have 2 examples here. I mean, they're really nice and bright and colourful, so that's catching people's eyes. They've been put into the wellbeing hubs, family hubs and libraries. We've also worked with partners in Improving Lives Plymouth to get adverts in the next edition of their newsletters, targeting some of our key groups, where we want to increase uptake, including carers, long-term health people with long-term health conditions, and those aged 65 plus. In addition to this, later this month, we have a feature in the Chronicle doing some myth-busting about from our Director of Public Health is myth-busting in the Chronicle, and he's doing a quick Q&A session in there. This will reach over 90,000 homes across the city, and a great way to encourage people to get their vaccines this winter. These physical posters and leaflets are supported by a large social media campaign, with our posts being viewed more than 72,000 times since the start of September. Our NHS colleagues in the ICB, hospital, primary care and pharmacies are doing a great job, and the winter vaccination campaign is in full swing. If you've missed your GP practice clinics, there are still plenty of outreach clinics happening across various locations in the city. If you look at the hospital website for a list, you'll find one near you. A real asset to the city this year is that many pharmacies across Plymouth are now offering 2 to 3-year-old flu vaccines for the first time. It's a great way to increase accessibility to this service and will reduce pressures on GPs. So please encourage anyone to go there and take these offers up. Now, I move now to our Ageing Well event that we had about 10 days ago now. We wanted to mark the International Day of the Older Person, and also because we were down at Tinside Lido, we were actually celebrating the 90th anniversary of Plymouth's iconic Tinside Lido, which was there for the start of October, so it was brilliant. The Ageing Well programme hosted a vibrant event celebrating the power of social connection in healthy ageing. More than 50 representatives from the local care area, voluntary and community organisations gathered to share ideas, and that showcased initiatives and affirmed their commitment to building an age-friendly city. As I say, it was held in the newly refurbished event space at the Lido. The cream tea wasn't too bad either. And the gathering provided a unique opportunity to reflect on the challenges and opportunities facing Plymouth's ageing population, and to highlight the inspiring work already underway across the city. The event opened with reflections from Professor Steve Madden, who spoke about the issues of facing an older population in Plymouth, and how through Thrive Plymouth, our city is supporting the Ageing Well programme and ensuring that we are all enabled to live longer, healthier lives. We enjoyed hearing about the amazing work and wonderful support provided by Age UK and the Elder Tree to reduce social isolation and to create a sense of belonging through the activities as diverse as gardening, Tai Chi and indoor curling. You've heard me talk about indoor curling before. Their representatives really demonstrated the tangible contribution to health and well-being of enabling social connections with older people through providing and engaging activities and friendly spaces. We also heard about the Age Positive Project, a collaboration between Improving Lives Plymouth, Wolsey Trust and the Time Banks Southwest to reduce social isolation and frailty for over 65 by building resilience and helping people connect with their communities. Through working closely together, the organisations provide social prescriptions for those who are with frailty, supporting them to attend activities, groups and workshops, as well as connecting peer volunteers with those in need. However, perhaps the highlight of the event was a joyful performance by members of the Southway Glee Club, supported by Time Bank Southwest. The Glee Club regularly brings together more than 30 members who go along every week to the Southway Community Hub. Their rendition of Sweet Caroline was so powerful, and the joy and belonging that comes with singing and spending time together. By the end of the event, the organisations in attendance had pledged their commitment to continue working towards an age-friendly city where people live longer, happier and healthier lives. It was a great afternoon. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And so I think that's everybody who wanted to make announcements has made them. Yeah, okay. So moving on to the final item, which is the LGA update. So it's a short update on recent developments from the Local Government Association that are particularly relevant to our work here in Plymouth. First of all, Pride in Place and local economic growth. The LGA has welcomed the government's Pride in Place programme. This initiative gives councils new funding and powers to revitalise high streets, regulate betting and vaping shops and bring empty premises back into use, and it aligns with the LGA's call for place-based investment. Their analysis shows that older industrial towns and cities like ours could unlock up to 13 billion in untapped economic potential with targeted government support. And this reflects a growing recognition that local authorities are best placed to lead economic renewal, restore pride in our communities and deliver solutions tailored to local needs. A little bit about NHS dentistry and health inequalities. The LGA has raised serious concerns about access to NHS dental care. Many areas are now described as dental deserts, with no local authority area having more than one NHS dentist per 1,000 residents, and deprived communities are often the most affected. Areas with the poorest health outcomes and highest rates of child dental decay often have fewest NHS dental practices, despite having the greatest need. So the LGA is calling for a review of the NHS dental contract, which I know that Councillor Aspel and many other people, including me, have talked about often. So, and they're also calling for investment in community dental services to ensure fair access to care for all. Other key LGA updates, warning that rising demand for temporary accommodation and care combined with loss of affordable homes is driving up costs and stretching council budgets. Supports a new licensing system to give council stronger powers to regulate vape sales and to protect young people. Backs a report calling for better access for physical activity for care experienced children, to support children and young people, to support wellbeing and inclusion. That's a really good bit of work if you haven't read that report. Urges long-term investment to reduce pressure on health and care services and to prevent vulnerable people from being stuck in hospital or unstable housing. Supports calls for more help for young carers to ensure they can access services and enjoy their childhood. In summary, these updates reinforce a clear message. Local government is central to tackling the big challenges that we face, from housing and health to economic renewal and community wellbeing. And to do this effectively, councils need the right powers, the right funding and the trust to lead. And I think we've mentioned something from all of those big challenges today, and I think I was just thinking about what Councillor Creswell said about a golden thread running through a report. I think there's been a golden thread running through this Cabinet today. It's been absolutely centred on Plymouth's people, on Plymouth's partnerships and Plymouth's potential. So I'd like to say thank you all for your attendance and input, and we close the meeting there. Thank you.